Hello wonderful person, this is Anton, and in today's video we're going to be doing something a little bit different. Actually, a few weeks ago, this Chinese company decided to reach out to me and ask me to review this product that they actually came up with. And you know what, normally I wouldn't do this, but I've been actually itching to review quite a few Chinese products I've purchased here in South Korea over the last few years, including things like this Xiaomi band that I'm going to take a look at maybe in a few weeks. And I just wanted to kind of give this a chance and see where this goes. So this actually is going to be a review of this really cool 360 camera known as Insta360 Nano. And we're going to take a look at it in two parts. In the first part, I'm just going to do an actual review. And in the second part, I'm going to show you an example of what kind of videos this camera can shoot. Now, if you've ever seen any of my game reviews, or if you've seen my review of the laptop that I used to have a long time ago, I'm pretty honest in my reviews and I'm usually very critical, so I'm not going to sugarcoat this thing. We're going to take a look at this as it actually is. If it's good or not, you're going to find out by the end of this video. Now, first and foremost, this version right here is actually for the iPhone. There's another version that you can see on the website that is for the Android. So the Android version is something I should have gotten, and I may actually purchase this separately later on, but I currently only have the iPhone version, and unfortunately, my primary phone is an Android phone, so I'm not going to be able to connect it right now, but I did use my friend's iPhone to kind of test this out, and I'm going to give you my opinion about this product. But here we're going to start with one big disappointment. I do have an iPad and I love my iPad and I wish it connected to it. So it does have a lightning port connection right here, and obviously it's supposed to fit into the iPad connection, but it doesn't really fit. I tried this on several different iPads and unfortunately, as you can see, they don't fit. So very big disappointment. So maybe if there's like a cable I can use to attach this to my iPad, that would be awesome. But as of now, unfortunately, this is strictly for iPhones. And let's actually begin with a very brief unboxing of this particular product. So here's the box. As you open it up, you'll realize that there's actually quite a lot of things inside of this. One of them is, interestingly, somewhat similar to Google Cardboard thingy. Basically for VR videos. You can put your phone in there and watch things in 3D and 360 in virtual reality, which is actually pretty awesome. Alright, so what else do we have here? So let's quickly go through what's inside the box, and starting with this little carry baggie that's actually to protect your camera, the manuals in English and in Chinese. There's also the charging cable that you need to recharge your camera, and the virtual reality box thingy similar to Google Cardboard. And there is also this very unusual foamy thingy that is garbage, I think. So I decided to dump it. But anyway, so this is what the actual camera looks like really close by here. You can see that this is where you would normally put your iPhone, and this is why iPads don't actually fit. But it is a pretty light camera. It's actually only about 70 grams in weight and does feel quite sturdy, even though it's actually made entirely in plastic. So this is actually a plastic camera, but it does feel quite sturdy. One thing I'm going to say right away is that I'm a little bit worried about these lenses here. They are very bulky and they do stick out a little bit, and they also attract a lot of fingerprints. But most importantly, I'm afraid they might actually break one day. So using the carry-on baggie might help you, but it would be nice to have something else a little bit more protective for this particular camera, because if you break this, that's it, it's done. Now, one thing I also wanted to say is if you actually look in the back here, you'll notice that there is both the lightning port and the mini USB port. Now, this here is for the charging. This means that you actually have to carry an extra mini USB cable with you at all times so you can actually charge this camera, and this goes into your iPhone. This is a little bit inconvenient in my opinion, because basically they could have just made this charge through the lightning cable somehow. And the charge usually lasts for about an hour of shooting. Usually within an hour, this camera will needs to be recharged afterwards. But luckily for us, the actual battery is on the inside, meaning that it doesn't use up any of the battery from your iPhone at all. Now, despite nice looks and despite it being relatively sturdy, let's actually talk about the performance of this little tool and how it does in real life. So like I mentioned before, I actually had to use my friend's iPhone to test this, because I've always been an Android user and never really used iPhones until very recently. And so here, first and foremost, let's actually start with the positives. Now, first of all, the camera was very easy to connect and to set up. Once you connect it, the app starts automatically and instantly gives you a 360 preview and essentially lets you shoot right away. It was very light, it's only 70 grams, and even though I kept holding it pretty high up in the air, at no point did my hands get tired of the camera, or I felt like it was going to disconnect or fall down at all. So it is very sturdy, it does connect to your phone really well, and it is pretty light. The software is actually simple to use and is optimized to take both photos and videos on the fly, but it's somewhat limiting in its functionality and in its ability to transfer to other formats. The majority of the videos I was filming looked really cool and quite professional actually, and the ability to make 360 videos on the fly using nothing but an iPhone is actually kind of cool. The two lenses you have on this camera are relatively medium in quality, they're not super high quality, but they do have nice depth of focus and produce relatively sharp videos as well. The addition of Google Cardboard-like thingy is also an excellent touch, meaning that you can basically turn your box that you use for this camera into a virtual reality headset. Now there's also a micro SD slot right here, and this is actually a really cool feature. If you were to put this inside and if you were to charge the camera, you can then use this button in the back to essentially shoot videos on the fly without an iPhone. So you don't even have to connect this to an iPhone to shoot videos. I haven't really used it that way just yet because I've been using it with iPhone mostly, but it is a pretty cool feature and it's actually shooting something right now. And another really cool addition to this camera is that it actually has an ability to stream live in 360 to YouTube, to Facebook, and more recently to Periscope as well. It's actually one of the first cameras to get access to 360 Periscope, meaning that you can actually stream yourself in 360 on the fly as you're doing something cool and let your family and friends see it, which is, I think, is a pretty cool function and a pretty cool addition to this camera. And some of the modes included in the software allow you to create some really nice looking photos, including some really impressive artistic photos, like for example tiny planet photos, which are becoming more popular nowadays. But other than that, I found the software somewhat limiting. And let's actually talk about the negatives, because this is essentially where you might decide not to buy the camera. So first of all, this will not work without an iPhone, and on top of that, your iPhone has to have no case. To me, this was a big deal. The case had to be taken off, and this made the iPhone I was using very hard to grip. It was actually kind of slippery because it had no more case on it. I almost dropped my iPhone or my friend's iPhone at least once because of this. Also, this lens only has a field of view of about 210 degrees, and to me they don't really seem as fish-eye. Basically, they're not as bulgy as they should be, at least compared to other similar products. Also, videos are filmed in 3K, however, once you edit them and once you upload them to YouTube or whatever other media you use, they don't look as impressive because it's actually technically in 720p. Basically, the 360 video in 3K becomes 720p in quality on a normal screen, so don't expect these videos to be mind-blowing. The biggest problem with the lenses, of course, is that they're too exposed, and it feels like after about a year of use, I will probably damage them and they'll probably be broken or scratched. So I think they could use a little bit more protection. Also, using this camera without an iPhone is not as straightforward and requires an extra mini SD card, so you won't really see what you're filming, and also you probably won't be using this function as much since there's really no way for you to preview the videos on your phone. But it's a cool feature to have nevertheless. Also, the battery life here is not ultra long, it's really only about an hour. I think after about an hour of use I was down to about 20% battery left, which meant that I needed to find a plug and use a separate micro USB cable to recharge it. All of this was a little bit inconvenient. But the biggest problem I've had so far, and I still don't really know why I had this problem, was the few slowdowns while filming for longer than 2 or 3 minutes. The camera also overheated a little bit, but I'm not sure if it was actually related to the software or the hardware. In the 360 video that I'll be posting, you'll see there's a few slowdowns here and there where the video starts skipping. I don't really know why this was happening. I'm not sure if it's related to the iPhone 6 I was using, or if it's a problem with the camera itself, but it happened and that's the reality. Also, don't expect this camera to have a really good sound because it's basically mediocre at best. I never expected this to have stellar sound, and for all of my videos that I shot, I basically just erased it. I chose to go with the separate lapel mic that was connected to something else and didn't really use the sound from this camera at all. And the second biggest problem I have with this particular product is its software. Now, it's really easy to use, it's very convenient, but transferring videos from the 360 app and the iPhone to my computer basically took me hours. It was really long, it was very convoluted, involved converting videos to panoramic videos first, then transferring them manually from the iPhone to my hard drive, and all of this really took a long time. It seems to be a little bit strange and it seems to be a little bit inconvenient. This really should have an easy way to just upload things to your Dropbox or something directly, or even transfer files on the fly to your Mac or to your computer. But as of now, I actually had trouble transferring the files and found it very time consuming. Now, so what is my verdict? Is this camera worth it? Well, let's just briefly summarize it. So, you know what, for people that want to get into 360 videos, that want to shoot really simple 360 videos on the fly without really purchasing any kind of expensive equipment or committing to a lot of various hardware, this is actually pretty good. Since it works on the fly with your iPhone, I think this is a pretty cool purchase. However, don't forget that there is actually at least one other product I can think of that may even be superior to this. Specifically here, I'm thinking about LG 360 camera that also has a very similar approach, but its lenses are actually slightly better. And it's also like a few bucks cheaper. However, it doesn't connect to your iPhone like this camera does. And from what I remember, LG's software was also a little bit more difficult to use as well. Also, at slightly over $200 US, I think this is definitely not a tool for everyone, but for anyone interested in 360 videos, this is probably one of the cheapest products you can currently buy if you actually want to start making both videos and photos in 360. So, you know, using this and your iPhone, you can definitely easily shoot things like roller coasters, things like fireworks, dance clubs, parties, and it would definitely allow you to create some really remarkable memories in 360 on the fly. And the fact that this actually allows you to also stream directly to Facebook and YouTube and Periscope also makes this a pretty cool product. And the main point I wanted to make about this product is that it's really not a professional camera. You have to understand that this is mostly for amateur videos and it's meant to basically entertain your friends, your family, not so much be used in a professional setting. So on my channel, I don't think I'll be using this as much, and really for one reason. The actual resolution here is 3K, which really transfers to something like 720p. I would really like to have something that looks at least 1080p or even higher, especially if it's a 360 video, meaning that a 360 video that I would be shooting would need to have a camera that can do 8K or even higher. I don't think those exist, and if they do, they would be really expensive. But for a simple amateur video in 360, this is actually pretty awesome. And so if you want to give Insta360 Nano a try, or if you want to buy the Android version known as the Insta360 Air, check out their website. It's under the products, I believe, where you can go ahead and order the cameras. But honestly, like I said before, this is definitely not a professional camera, so don't expect this to make highly professional videos. And anyway, thank you so much for watching. Hopefully you enjoyed this little review of the Insta360 camera. And in the next part, I'm going to show you what the actual 360 videos look like if you shoot them with this camera. Check it out. See you guys later. Game you later. Space out. And see you in the next video where you're going to learn something else. Bye-bye.